They told you the goal was to be happy, so you started chasing it, without knowing what it even was. They showed you people smiling on screens. They made you think it meant having everything: the house, the followers, the freedom, the praise. They made you believe that if you weren't smiling all the time, something was wrong with you. They whispered that the moment you got there, wherever that was, happiness would meet you. But the truth is, you were set up. You were handed a definition of happiness that had nothing to do with you, and everything to do with control. They gave you desires that keep you moving in circles. They trained you to feel behind. They built systems that reward your craving but never your peace. And they buried the truth underneath 1,000 layers of distraction. Because if you knew what real happiness was, you wouldn't need their game. You wouldn't need the constant upgrades, the comparisons, the little artificial highs. You wouldn't spend your life feeling like something's missing, even when you have everything. But you do. You get the promotion and feel empty the next morning. You hit a goal and feel anxious the same night. You get what you wanted and then want more, not because you're ungrateful, but because the thing you were chasing wasn't happiness. It was relief, and relief fades. It always does. They've sold happiness as a product, a personality, a performance. They told you to dress it up, post it online, rehearse it like a script. They didn't teach you how to build it. They taught you how to pretend you had it. So now you keep asking, why does it feel like I'm doing everything right and still feel off? Why does life feel like a never-ending checklist with no finish line, no rest, no stillness? Because the version of happiness they sold you is designed to make you restless. It doesn't point you inward. It pulls you further away from yourself, so they can sell you back pieces of your identity. A new course, a new outfit, a new goal, a new you. You start thinking maybe the next thing will fix it. Maybe one more milestone and I'll finally feel peace. Maybe if I just keep pushing, keep grinding, keep performing, I'll wake up one day and it'll all click. But it doesn't, because the emptiness you feel isn't from lack of progress. It's from chasing a version of life that was never real to begin with. You've confused stimulation with joy, validation with connection, convenience with meaning, ease with freedom, comfort with peace. But none of those are the same. They are shadows, echoes. They feel close, but they never satisfy. Because real happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you build. And not in public, not with applause, not in highlight reels, but in the quiet, gritty, often invisible places no one claps for. And that's the lie they don't want you to figure out, because as long as you keep searching for it where they told you to look, you'll stay stuck in their loop, tired, distracted, controlled, and that's profitable. The most dangerous thing you could ever do is stop chasing their version of happiness and define your own. Because when you stop playing their game, you start playing by truth. And truth isn't sold, it's earned, not through escaping discomfort, but by walking through it, not by chasing ease, but by choosing meaning. You've been lied to. Happiness isn't what they said it was. It's not the absence of struggle. It's not a mood. It's not feeling good all the time, and it's not a reward for being perfect. Real happiness is the result of becoming aligned with what's real inside you. When your actions stop betraying your values, when your time reflects what matters, when your peace isn't dependent on outcomes, and that's why it's rare, because very few are willing to unlearn the lie. Very few are willing to let go of what the world applauds. To build something the world will never understand, but you're not here for approval. You're here to wake up. And waking up hurts. It costs everything fake, but it gives you back your soul. And maybe that's what real happiness actually is. Not a feeling, not a smile, not a perfect day, but a quiet knowing that you're no longer lost in someone else's version of life. You're becoming your own. You were told happiness was the reward, but that's not true. Happiness is the consequence of how you live. It's not the target, it's the echo. You don't get happy by chasing it. You get happy by choosing what matters and living in alignment with it daily. Not when it's easy, not when you feel motivated, but when it's hard, unclear, and inconvenient. That's what no one talks about. Because alignment doesn't look impressive. It looks boring. It looks like saying no when everyone else says yes. It looks like doing the right thing with no audience. It looks like walking away from comfort because you value your peace more than your pleasure. It doesn't make headlines, it doesn't go viral, but it's the quiet foundation happiness is built on. And if your foundation is fake, no amount of wins will fix it. You'll always feel unstable. You'll smile for pictures and wonder why it feels like you're lying to yourself. Happiness isn't what the world shows you. It's not yachts and beaches and slow-motion laughs. It's not achieving without struggle. It's not constant pleasure. That's dopamine. That's escapism. That's relief. And the more you depend on those to feel okay, the more powerless you become when life gets real. Because here's the truth they never packaged for you. Happiness isn't light, it's weight. It's knowing your life means something. Not because it looks good, but because it's yours. Fully yours. You shaped your direction. You honored your values. You built your identity from the inside, not borrowed from the outside. It's waking up and knowing you're not lying to yourself anymore. Not selling your time to fit in. Not bending your integrity to keep peace. Not shrinking to meet other people's expectations. That kind of happiness can't be bought. It's not found in a moment. It's built over time, through pain, reflection, action, and patience. And most people miss it because they're too busy trying to avoid those four things. But they're not optional. You don't get to real happiness without struggle. You don't get to meaning without discomfort. You don't get to inner peace by chasing outer praise. You get there by losing what you thought you needed and realizing you're still standing, still whole, still grounded in something real. That's what builds you. Not reaching for more, not rushing through the day, not collecting applause like it'll fill the hole, just truth and your loyalty to it. And it's not sexy. It's not a highlight reel, but it's yours. And once it becomes yours, you don't trade it back for anything. Not for approval, not for temporary highs, not for feeling better. Because the moment you learn how to live in alignment with truth, you start recognizing all the lies around you. And you stop needing them. You stop needing the fake version of success that makes you exhausted. You stop needing people's opinions to stabilize your worth. You stop chasing surface-level pleasure just to distract yourself from what you're avoiding, because you've built something better and deeper. And now you can walk through storms without folding. You can show up without putting on a mask. You can act from clarity, not pressure. You can keep your peace, even when life tries to steal it. And in that space, where your behavior reflects your beliefs, where your time supports your purpose, where your calm doesn't depend on control, in that space, happiness finds you. It doesn't knock loudly. It doesn't come with fireworks. It just settles in. A quiet presence, a steady strength, a clarity that stays, even when life doesn't go your way. And suddenly, you realize, happiness wasn't supposed to feel like a high. It was supposed to feel like coming home to yourself. And the reason most people never feel that way is because they're always chasing the next thing, hoping it'll finally fill the silence they keep running from. But the silence isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It's the space where clarity lives. It's the mirror that shows you what matters when no one else is watching. And that's where happiness is born. Not in the noise, not in the next goal, not in the illusion of control, but in the deep, unshakable decision to live a life that aligns with your soul. Even if no one claps, even if no one understands, especially then. Because real happiness isn't when the world loves you. It's when you don't need it to. It starts the moment you decide the old map doesn't work for you anymore. Not out of anger, not out of rebellion, but out of clarity. Because now you see it for what it is, a loop, a system that feeds your hunger but never your soul, a maze that gives you movement but no direction. And once you realize that, the question changes. It's no longer, how do I stay motivated to chase their version of life? It becomes, how do I take my life back? And that's the shift. You stop looking outward. You stop measuring your happiness by how well you perform. You stop chasing the image they sold you. Because now you understand, you're not here to impress. You're here to become, not the version they invented for you, the version you buried, the one that existed before the noise, before you were told who you had to be, before you were taught to smile while falling apart. You were never broken. You were just following the wrong definition of fulfillment. And now that you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So you start tearing it down, piece by piece, belief by belief, habit by habit. You stop waiting for life to feel perfect before you start living it. You stop trying to feel good all the time and start doing what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. You stop outsourcing your meaning to things that are designed to fade. You reclaim your time. You take back your attention. You stop offering your peace to things that don't care about you. And no, it's not easy. Because building a life that's yours, not theirs, takes brutal honesty. It takes unlearning. It takes walking away from shortcuts. It takes being misunderstood by people who are still trapped in the same illusion. But you weren't born to stay asleep. You were born to choose, to live on your terms, to suffer for something real instead of numbing yourself with distractions. Because here's the secret they never told you. Real happiness isn't painless. It's earned. You earn it by facing the truth. You earn it by sacrificing comfort for depth. You earn it by letting go of who you think you need to be and becoming who you actually are. Not perfect, not always confident, but real, rooted, awake, and you start to notice the shift. Your joy isn't as loud, but it lasts longer. Your peace isn't dramatic, but it doesn't leave when pressure comes. Your life starts making sense, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. You stop chasing highs. You start building wholeness. You stop waiting for permission. You start writing your own story. Not for likes, not for applause, but because you finally understand something that most people never will. You were never lost. You were just disconnected from your values, from your strength, from your reason. They sold you a lie about happiness. They packaged comfort as fulfillment. They glorified ease and sold you fear anytime life got hard. But life is supposed to get hard. That's how you grow. That's how you find your limits and push past them. That's how you discover meaning that doesn't depend on convenience. And when that becomes clear, you stop resenting the struggle. You stop avoiding the wait. You stop negotiating with your soul. You choose what's real. You stand in it. You suffer for it. You honor it with your decisions. And slowly, you start to feel it. That quiet inner calm that doesn't need to be explained. That deep sense of direction, even when the path isn't obvious. That rare kind of strength that can't be bought, taught, or borrowed. It can only be built. And when you build it, you start being shaken by the things that used to own you. The pressure to look happy. The need to feel good 24/7. The fear of being misunderstood. All of it fades. Not because life got easier, but because you got clearer. So let the world keep selling what it sells. Let them chase the version of life that's all performance and no peace. Let them fear the silence you now live in. You don't owe the world a performance. You owe yourself truth. And if that truth costs you popularity, good. If it costs you superficial relationships, even better. If it cost you the life you once thought you wanted, perfect. Because what you're building now isn't a brand. It's a foundation. What you're living now isn't a fantasy. It's freedom. And the more you let go of what happiness was supposed to look like, the more you start living the kind that actually lasts. No drama, no pretending, just full presence. In your effort, in your discipline, in your peace. And that's the kind of happiness no one can sell you, because it was never for sale. It was waiting inside you, under the noise, behind the mask, beneath the conditioning. You didn't find it. You remembered it. And now that you have, you're never going back.